Hi there, welcome along to the Transfer Show. The clock is ticking to the January 31st deadline. Dana Chef, Kaveh Solokol are with me to discuss today's transfer news after a busy day of manager news conferences. Coming up, we've got news on Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham and plenty more. And we'll look ahead to the massive match at the bottom of the Premier League between Watford and Norwich. Right, we start with Antonio Rudiger, who has declared that his family is happy in London as he enters the final few months of his deal at Chelsea. Rudiger sat down with Patrick Davison to discuss contract talks with some of Europe's biggest clubs interested in signing the defender.
Full committed, like always, and down to the cause. And at the end of the day, talks are between me and between my side and the club.
You've obviously done a very good job of shutting it out and not letting it affect your day job. It hasn't affected your football. Do you find that easy to do?
Yes, I find it easy to do. I find it easy to do because these are not only words that I'm saying, that I'm fully committed to the cause. Because I think I've shown it always, and because there were also bad times, like much worse times than this. So like that's why for me I find it easy to deal with that, because I'm focused what is happening here, what is happening on the pitch, and I owe it to everyone here around the club, coach, my teammates, my family. So that's why for me, I'm not too much. I'm only focused about the important things.
Tony, you're 28, so it's almost for any player. What do you have to think about when it's maybe your last big contract? Can you just give us an insight into the sort of things you have to think? Okay, I need to consider this. I need to think about that. And once I'm happy with those things, then I'll decide what I'm going to do. Can you just give us that? What you have to factor in and decide on?
Oh, of course, you need to listen. You need to listen also to the missus. Like, you have to think. You think about your family, obviously, and but I always said, it's my kids were born here in London, so that tells you that my family feels great here, and but the rest is up to other people. They also have to make decisions, and then we will see if we come together or not.
It's never the agent, it's always the missus. Dharmesh, go on then. What do you make of that?
It's an interesting interview that from Patrick Davison ahead of that Chelsea-Tottenham game on Sunday. Rudiger says he loves playing for Chelsea. He loves living in London. His family is settled in London, and he's focused and committed to the cause. But the fundamental issue is still there. Rudiger has got 6 months left of his Chelsea contract. And I'm told that Chelsea are very aware what they need to do if they want to keep him. And that is offer him a contract that would make him the Premier League's best paid defender. If they don't, there's every chance that Antonio Rudiger will seek another club. We do know European football's big guns like Real Madrid, like PSG, like Bayern Munich are in talks with his representatives, and they're talking hard numbers now about what a pre-contract would look like, or even potentially what a free transfer would look like in the summer, because there wouldn't be any kind of transfer fee involved. Of course, there wouldn't be now, but it's very unlikely that Chelsea would allow him to go at this stage of the season. But he can sign a pre-contract agreement with a foreign club outside England. I just think Rudiger, from what he's saying there, he's leaving everything to his representatives now. He's got too much focus on the pitch. Chelsea are in 4 competitions. They've got the Club World Cup to come as well. Recent form hasn't been great. You know, they were nailed on for a top 4 finish. Suddenly, Tottenham are looking strong with all those games in hand. If they win those games in hand, a big if, of course, they'll go above Chelsea. So they're not guaranteed to be finishing in the top 4. So there's a lot of focus for Rudiger for what's happening at Chelsea. He could leave it until the summer, of course. And that means every club that would want to sign him on a pre-contract agreement, you would think they would still remain interested. But intriguingly, English clubs could then come to the party on a free transfer. And it shouldn't be ruled out, as he's been saying there, that he remains at Chelsea, but Chelsea have to do that one thing. It should be noted here that nobody at Chelsea has started more games than Antonio Rudiger this season. So despite his contract situation, Thomas Tuchel, the head coach at Chelsea, continues to count on him, continues to pick him. And Thomas Tuchel was asked, as he always is in news conferences, about his players who are going to be out of contract come the summer, notably Antonio Rudiger. He was asked again today, and this is what Tuchel had to say.
Well, you know how I was full of praise for him, well deserved. You know how important he is. I said many times. So it is. So this is the importance that he has and that he deserves at the moment. The talks, the negotiations are ongoing. So there are no news. And about the if, we talk about the if when the if happens, if it happens.
Oh, is it me?
It is you, yeah.
Tuchel was also asked about Ousmane Dembele, who's been told by Barcelona that he must leave in this window, and this is what Tuchel had to say.
He is a very good player, and he's in his top level, and I'm very fortunate to have trained him in my time at Dortmund. He is in a situation. I have absolutely no idea why he is in that situation. I have no idea what the situation in detail is. So I know how I feel about it when it's about my players. So it's better not to talk.
You just do a better job of reading into that than me, basically. That's what it is, isn't it? I've got my Friday night party hat on, that's all. You're still in work mode. No, I'm here for the evening, don't worry. OK. How do you think this Dembele situation will be resolved? What do we think about this, then?
Look, Thomas Tuchel said he didn't know too much about the situation with Dembele, but I think it's pretty simple. Barcelona have said you're out of contract in the summer. We're not going to let you leave on a free transfer in the summer, and we're not going to let you play for us. We want some money for you. We want to get your wages off our wage bill. So they're trying to find a club who are willing to take him before the window closes at the end of the month. And I think they're asking for a loan fee of about £3 million. And also they want the club who are going to take him to pay all his wages. And his wages are significant. They're about £250,000 a week. But he's such a good player on his day when he's fully fit. You're talking about one of the most expensive players ever in history, that I wouldn't be at all surprised if a club came in for him before the end of the window. Chelsea have been mentioned as a possible destination because Thomas Tuchel has obviously worked with him before, but Chelsea have bought a lot of forward players in the past few windows, and I think their priority is to strengthen at left back and maybe in the centre of defence. But you're talking about a player who cost 135 million euros who's now available for just a €3 million loan fee. So I expect there to be a lot of interest in him, but the important thing is, what will he do? Because he has said that I'm still committed to Barcelona. I want to play for Barcelona. I'm not going to be bullied. I'm not going to give in to blackmail. And he is well within his rights to just say, I'm not going anywhere. I've got a contract with Barcelona until the summer. And even if I'm not playing, I'm going to stay where I am.
Interesting. Right. Ralph Rangnick has confirmed Newcastle are interested in signing Jesse Lingard this month. Newcastle are pushing hard for a deal. Manchester United's interim manager admits Lingard may be better moving on if he wants more game time.
He's a really good player. I can see that in every training session. And for me, it's normal that other clubs, like, for example, Newcastle, show interest in him. But I'm not the one who is dealing with that. So I know that there might be some interest from other clubs, but if you ask me now what will happen in the next 10 days until the closure of the window, I cannot answer that question, I'm afraid. I know that his contract is expiring in the summer. The question is, what does he want to do? Does he want to get more game time from now on? Then I think it's quite legitimate to speak and think about other options. But I wouldn't be unhappy if he stayed until the rest of the season.
So interesting words there from him. Where do we stand with Lingard tonight?
Just picking up on what Ralf Rangnick said there, he actually names Newcastle as an interested club. You don't often hear managers do that, number one. Effectively says that he'd get more game time away from Manchester United. But ultimately, if a deal can be agreed between Manchester United and another club, the decision's ultimately going to be with Jesse Lingard, because he's still under contract at Manchester United and he's going to have to make a decision. Look, Newcastle, as you said in the link to that grab there from Ralf Rangnick, they continue to push hard to try and sign Jesse Lingard from Manchester United. Talks continued into the night as Newcastle tried to sign Lingard, even in time for him to play for Newcastle United at Leeds tomorrow. Now, that obviously hasn't materialised. Manchester United, for their part, they're thought to want a permanent transfer. If you look at things from Newcastle and Jesse Lingard's perspective, I think they may prefer a loan. If you look at it from Newcastle's perspective, if they get a loan, then they know that if Jesse Lingard comes to the club, helps them stay up, then maybe they can renegotiate maybe a permanent deal thereafter. But if they get him on a permanent and they go down, then they're going to have Jesse Lingard still at the club on high wages on a long contract. And the same goes for Jesse Lingard. Will he want to sign a permanent deal with Newcastle United, not knowing if they're going to stay in the Premier League next season? And he's got World Cup aspirations as well. It's looking increasingly likely now that for Newcastle United to be able to do a deal, they're going to have to do something quite incredible and in an offer for Manchester United, number one, and for Jesse Lingard to make sure that this one gets over the line this month. It's looking increasingly likely, though, that it's a difficult deal to do, and Lingard may bide his time and reassess all of his options in the summer.
Would it be unusual for an agent and a club to have a discussion and say, OK, well, if you stay up, you have to buy him, and if you don't, well, we'll have to have him back?
We're getting into like the talk of like relegation clauses as well. And I don't think Newcastle United want to get involved in that. If you think about what's happened with Chris Wood and Kieran Trippier, two players who we understand have signed long-term deals at Newcastle United with no relegation clauses. So if they do go down, it's every expectation Kieran Trippier and Chris Wood will be part of that squad to try and bring Newcastle United back up. I think Jesse Lingard, in an ideal situation, will want to play football until the end of the season and then be in the Premier League 100% next season. If he goes to Newcastle on a permanent deal now, that's not guaranteed.
Yeah. He's good mates, though, with Trippier, isn't he, as well? So you've got that to throw into the mix too.
Exactly, and the added factor to that is he's said to be very impressed that Newcastle United managed to get a deal done for a player like Kieran Trippier, despite their position.
Yeah. OK, thanks for that for now. Let's just round up some more potential incomings. Kaveh, Manchester City have been very quiet in this window, but we finally do have a bit of movement.
Yes, they're in talks to sign Julian Alvarez, who is one of the most highly rated young forwards in South America. He plays for River Plate, 21 years old. He scored 20 league goals last season for River Plate. Also made his debut for the Argentina national team in the summer. The interesting situation is that he has a release clause which is believed to be which is believed to be between 20 and 25 million euros. So when you're talking about clubs like Manchester City, that is very achievable for them. Lots of big clubs in Europe have been looking at him. His agent has been speaking to the kind of clubs you would expect him to be speaking to. But it looks like he could be moving to Manchester City. City in talks to sign him. And if they do sign him, I think he will stay at River Plate and join Manchester City in the summer. I think that is the plan for him. And then, of course, there'd be question marks over would Manchester City still try and sign Erling Haaland in the summer as well, because we know he's got a £64 million release clause. City are one of the clubs who are sort of leading the race to sign Haaland along with Real Madrid. But Julian Alvarez looks like he could be coming to Manchester City, playing for them next season. Very exciting young forward who's got a brilliant goal-scoring record at River Plate.
OK. Darmesh, let's shift the focus to Burnley, looking for a striker.
Yeah, look, Newcastle United bought Chris Wood, didn't they, for £25 million. Is Sean Dyche going to get that money to reinvest in the squad? We were told that they're interested in signing the Zenit St. Petersburg striker, Sardar Azmoun. One source has told me that they've even put a bid in of around €10 million for Azmoun. His contract is up in the summer, so he's into the final 6 months. Can sign a pre-contract agreement, of course, but I think Burnley will want to bring someone in now to try and help them out of the mess they're in near the bottom of the table. AC Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, Lyon, also in talks for the Iranian international. He scored 60 goals in 104 appearances for Zenit St. Petersburg, and he's got 39 goals from 60 caps. That's some record for Iran, second only to the great Ali Day. Daya? Is it Day? Dai, sorry. Yeah, so second to him on the list.
Got neither of them right first.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. At least I know now. OK, Brighton flying high, doing great. Recruitment for them as well has been quite excellent recently, and it looks like they could still be a bit busy, couldn't it, Carvey?
Yeah, Brighton have got a very good recent record of signing young players, quite a few young players from South America as well. And they've been trying for the past couple of weeks to sign Julio Enciso, who is a teenage Paraguayan attacker who plays for Libertad. Now, they have made an increased bid for him. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get Enciso because Libertad are asking for about £8 million, but talks are continuing. Again, it's difficult to say how he would adapt to European football, how he would adapt to the Premier League, but Brighton have scouted him extensively and he is very, very highly rated. Brighton trying very hard to sign him. It's one of those, again, if he was to move to Brighton, perhaps you could see him moving on loan somewhere before coming back to Brighton. But as I said, Brighton have a very, very good record, particularly in recent times, of finding some very good young players, especially in South America as well.
OK, coming up next, we've got news on Adama Traore and Diego Carlos and a Brazilian wonderkid. Hi there, welcome back to the Transfer Show. Now, we reported yesterday that Wolves had rejected a bid from Tottenham for Adama Traore, and today, Wolves head coach Bruno Lage warned that they won't give him away cheaply.
Adama is a lovely guy, so this is about, sometimes it's about business. I remember how much Tottenham protect their main striker, Harry Kane, in the beginning of the season, with the big offers, and they protect the player to stay with them. And we will protect our player because we believe a lot in Adama. So that is business.
OK, so that's the manager. What is the latest, Carve?
Adama Traore. Sorry, just sorting out my notes. No, look, basically, Spurs have made an offer, but the offer was about £15 million. And he is valued at about £25 million by Wolves. But I think Wolves may take an offer which is at least £20 million and then some add-ons on top of that. So I think there is a deal to be done there. But I like Bruno Lage's attitude there, because he was basically saying, look, we're not going to be bullied in the transfer market. For instance, in the summer, Tottenham had a value on Harry Kane. They refused to sell him for less than that value. And that's exactly the same with Adama Traore. We've got a value, and if that value is not met, then he will stay with us. Of course, the problem that Wolves have got is that Adama Traore's got about 18 months left on his contract. So I think if they get an offer of about £20 million plus add-ons, it would make sense for them to sell him in this window. But Wolves are playing tomorrow at Brentford, and I think he has travelled with the squad to London. Then after tomorrow's game, of course, they don't play for 2 weeks. So you would think there is time next week to complete this potential deal. Okay. But as I said, Spurs are going to have to offer something which is at least £20 million.
OK, and you're very much on top of what's happening with Diego Carlos as well. Any updates?
Well, look, I think we're going to have to wait until tomorrow, because Sevilla have said that he's going to play for us tomorrow. They've got an important game against Celta Vigo, I think kicks off at 5:30. Nothing's going to happen before that game. The situation hasn't really changed, that Newcastle United want to sign him, but Sevilla are always pretty difficult to do business with when it comes to signing their players. Again, they have valuations on their players. They don't want to accept anything less. I think the player himself wants to move, so it just depends on what happens after tomorrow's game, how much pressure he's going to put on Sevilla, and whether a deal can be reached. But of course, behind the scenes, there's a lot of work being done. I think today Eddie Howe sounded a bit gloomy when he was talking about transfers and the potential of people coming in. It'll be a fantastic signing for Newcastle United. I think they're still going to try. People around the player are still trying to make it happen, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
OK. 10 days left of the window. Still plenty of uncertainty at Arsenal, Dharmesh. Let's start up front. Any news from, I guess, Italy?
Look, we know Arsenal are in the market for a striker. Lots of uncertainty with a few of their forwards just now. Fiorentina striker Dusan Vlahovic, we keep mentioning his name throughout this transfer window. He is one of their primary targets. Now, Fiorentina Chief Executive Joe Baroni has said that English clubs are interested. They do want to sign Dusan Vlahovic. He also said that Fiorentina are open to negotiate. Now, that's the easy part, because he also then went to say that he's putting the onus really at the door of Vlahovic and his agents. This is what he had to say. Vlahovic and his agent won't talk. There's been no communication from the player and his agent, although I asked them to be clear about their wishes. Now, Fiorentina, for their part, the contract offer that they've put on the table for Dusan Vlahovic would make Vlahovic the highest paid player in their history. What's looking increasingly likely now, though, with 18 months left on his contract, Vlahovic is probably going to see the rest of the season out with Fiorentina, and then in the summer assess his options. But I just wonder what that would do to his price, because then he'll have 12 months left of his contract. Now, there are other players that Arsenal, of course, are looking at, because Vlahovic will be attracting a lot of interest. There's lots of talk in Italy about Juventus just readying themselves for a bid. But Fiorentina do not want to do business with Juventus because of the rivalry between the two clubs. But our colleague Emma Payton, she has told us that one of the players Arsenal are looking at is Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the Everton striker. Now, there is an interest there, she tells us, but from the flip side, on Everton's side, no pressure to really do any kind of business as far as Calvert-Lewin is concerned, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin has got a contract at Goodison Park that runs until the summer of 2025. But make no mistake, Arsenal are in the market for a striker, be it this window or the summer.
I mean, where does it leave Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and that now?
Good question. No real change at the moment. We know that several European clubs are interested, among them Juventus, AC Milan, Marseille, Sevilla, PSG as well. Al Nassr, the Saudi Arabian club, they've made a loan offer that comes with an obligation to buy Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for around €8 million. Now, if Arsenal did manage to sell Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or loan him with an obligation in this transfer window, his wages alone would represent a saving of around £25 million, because he's on around £350,000 a week following that contract he signed back in September 2020. Now, if Arsenal do agree a deal with anyone, and make no mistake, Arsenal will consider offers if they do come in for Aubameyang, that's only one part of it, because the final ultimate decision will lie with Aubameyang. He's got 18 months left on his contract. So he's settled at Arsenal. He's settled in London. It will have to be a decision that's not only right for Arsenal, but that's right for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as well, for him to move. OK. And Carve, more news from a player looking to move from Italy potentially to the Emirates in Arthur.
Yes, I mean, look...
Or is it Arthur?
Arthur.
It is right, the traditional.
Brazilian midfielder. He's played for Barcelona. He's played for Juventus. Hasn't really worked out at Juventus. His agent has been in talks this week for talks with Arsenal. His agent has been in London for talks with Arsenal. I think the sticking point is that Arsenal want him on loan until the end of the season. Juventus want him to leave on a much longer loan. Loan could be up to 2 years, and Arsenal would have to have an obligation to sign him as well. I think that is a bit tricky for Arsenal. They've got other midfield targets as well. But I think as far as the player is concerned, he would like to move to Arsenal. Arsenal obviously want to take him, but they would prefer if it was just on loan until the summer. Juventus, the situation is complicated as well, because they want to sign a replacement as well. One of the players they're looking at is Dennis Zakaria at Borussia Mönchengladbach. So it is a bit of a complicated situation, but I think we could see some movement on this next week, because the will of the player is to move to Arsenal if at all possible. OK.
And Damash, what about the goalkeeping position as well?
This is interesting as well. We're told that Arsenal are still pushing to sign the New England Revolution and USA international goalkeeper Matt Turner. In turn, what will that mean for Bernd Leno? We know that he's been usurped by Aaron Ramsdale as Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper this season. Sky Germany are reporting that Newcastle United are interested in Bernd Leno, but they claim that it's more likely to happen in the summer, when Newcastle United will know what league they're in. Look, as far as Leno's concerned, he's got 18 months left on his contract. He would prefer probably a move in the summer as well, because he wants to get back into the Germany squad. He wants to be part of the Germany World Cup squad for the World Cup in Qatar. Now, that could be jeopardised if he was to go to Newcastle United now, and then come the summer, if they get relegated, would he get picked if he was part of a club in the Championship?
Right, so much to think about, and plenty more transfer news on the way as well, including our Premier League wrap, and former Wales striker Robert Earnshaw joins us in the studio as well. Welcome back to the Transfer Show. Delighted to say we are joined by former Norwich striker Robert Earnshaw on set with us this evening. He's going to be watching Watford against Norwich. Before that, we want to get your expert opinion on some of the day's top transfer news, so prepare yourself. Dharmesh, tell us about Jesse Lingard and where we stand with this.
Final 6 months of his contract at Manchester United. Newcastle United still pushing to try and get a deal done. United, we think, would prefer a permanent deal. Would Jesse Lingard like a permanent deal if Newcastle United were relegated? He'd be in the Championship next season. He's got World Cup aspirations as well. So I think Newcastle still want to do a deal. Difficult one to do. Increasingly likely at this stage, it can change, of course, in the last week, that Jesse Lingard will see out the rest of his contract at Manchester United and then assess all of his options come the summer.
What would you do if you were Jesse Lingard?
If I was Jesse Lingard, I'm pushing the transfer through. I'm going to Newcastle. I think it's important for him. I think it's the best thing for him because Jesse Lingard is at an age where you have to think, okay, what have you done at Man United? But where do you go next? Where do you go next is more important right now. So for him, I think he's got to go. He's got to push it. Obviously, the club's got to get together, make a deal. But the best thing for him is what is next now for Jesse Lingard, because he's got a lot of talent, good player, has more to offer. He needs the next stage. Where's the next stage? The next stage is somewhere else. It's not at Man United.
Do you think it will be Newcastle? Would that be what he should be looking at? Or
Absolutely, yeah. I think what Newcastle get is a top Premier League player who can make a difference, can add goals, can add an influence. Because, listen, when you're in a dressing room, you want people who come in and make an influence. That's just as much as the talent and, you know, all the persona and personalities and all of that. But what they do have is somebody who can give them a goal threat, give them a big impact in their results. They need to get results because you can't have, you know, the most... you know, the team with the most amount of money playing in the Championship. They need to act right now.
We're going to stay with Newcastle 2/3 of the way through the window. Dharmesh has been telling us about this long shortlist that they have, but they've actually only signed 2 players. Does that surprise you? Do you think you're just going to have a flurry of last-minute business and just almost a bit like bingo, we'll have him, and him?
Well, with Newcastle?
Yeah.
For me, it's no surprise because... Listen, Newcastle, they might have great finances, but right now they're a relegation team.
Yeah.
Because if they're coming in for me, I'm the first thing I'm asking is, do I want to go to a relegation team? You know, it doesn't matter about the finances. It doesn't matter about what the club wants to do in the future. Right now, do I want to go there? So all the top players, which they will want, they're going to ask the same question because those are the same things I would be asking. The good thing is it a top team? Yes, Newcastle's a top team. Is it got a great history, great fan base, a big club? Absolutely. So those are the other questions you could ask yourself. And I think for some top players, I think you need somebody to make the first step, and then a few will follow, which I think will happen this month.
OK, right. What about the next step for Erling Haaland then, Carve? What do you think is going to happen with him?
Well, look, there's been a very interesting story today from ESPN. Mark Ogden, who has very good contacts at Manchester United and has covered them for a very long time. And he's saying that Manchester United are now out of the running to sign Erling Haaland in the summer. Of course, Erling Haaland has this release clause in his contract at Borussia Dortmund, £64 million. Lots of clubs trying to sign him. United were one of those clubs. But according to ESPN, Haaland has looked at United and thought, it's not right for me. They're a club in transition. They may not even be in the Champions League. They're not going to be challenging for the big prizes in world football. I've got other clubs I can go to that are more appealing prospects. And obviously, the feeling now is that as far as Erling Haaland is concerned, all roads are leading to Real Madrid. Real Madrid want to sign Kylian Mbappe on a free this summer. They think they can get Haaland as well for £64 million. But I wouldn't discount Manchester City just yet. They're still in for Haaland. And also, I think Bayern Munich, especially if Robert Lewandowski leaves Bayern Munich this summer, there's some talk that maybe PSG would make a move for him. I know people close to him have very good contacts with PSG, and of course Kylian Mbappe leaving would mean that PSG are looking for a marquee signing as well. But the big news as far as Haaland is concerned, ESPN saying today that United are out of the running. And on Haaland, we are expecting some interesting developments on him next week. I think before the end of the window, there will be a few developments next week.
Oh, we shall soon see. I mean, Robert, if you were advising Haaland, obviously you'd think of the paycheck, but where would you like to see him play?
Well, with Haaland, there's only 4 teams that can have him in the world football. There's only 4 teams. PSG, Real Madrid, Man City, and probably maybe a Bayern Munich, I think, because number one, what's his transfer fee going to be? If it is 64 million, what a steal that would be. A real steal. But I would be advising him, because there's 2 places where he wants to play. You know, every player wants to play for Barcelona or Real Madrid, whether they say it or not. Those are the number 1 places. But obviously now you want to play in the Premier League. Absolutely. Who do you come to play with? Right now, is it Man United? No. Man City? Absolutely. Plus, he also goes to the next stage. He needs to improve. He's a top player, but he also needs to improve. You have a coach that can improve him. You have a top team that can challenge for the Premier League and the Champions League as well. And the reason I say PSG is because they've got top players. Plus, also, they can afford him. And let's face it, PSG is one of the best teams in the world. So they can or try and attempt to win the Champions League. So I think for him, he's got to be thinking, okay, chance to win the league, chance to win the Champions League, and who's in that bucket? There's not that many if you think about it, and also somebody who can afford him.
Just a quick question to you, Rob. We can't mention Erling Haaland without mentioning his agent, Mino Raiola. Now,
unfortunately,
yeah, he gets a lot of criticism, but not from the players he looks after. If you were a player and you started your career again and Mino Raiola approached you, would you be like, this is the guy that I want to represent me?
Well, I think for me, always, one of the things is I look at who the person is, number one. Who are they? What's their character? Are they going to represent me, who I am, very well? I think that's the thing. But also at the same time, you've got to be thinking, okay, if they know them, some of them do know them from a history, so they know who they are, friendly, good relationships. And also, can he do the best job for me if he's my agent? I mean, so far, as an agent, really you can't fault him because, the likes of Zlatan is with him. Obviously, a bunch of players are with him. And most of them don't say a bad word about his agency, who he is, and how he gets the deals done. That's also super important because you want somebody who's competent. You want somebody who's one of the best agents that can do that. So I think he does that very well. Okay, he's outspoken. Too much, yes. So he's a character. But I think with Haaland, I hope he's getting the best advice just based on where his career takes him because he's a top player. But right now, he needs that next level. The next level is he needs to be playing in the top tournaments, but also trying to compete for the Champions League because that's where he's going to be thinking, okay, I'm missing that part. I'm missing, the latter stages, the semi-finals of the Champions League, the finals, being able to score his goals, which he can score goals against anybody, but doing that at the later stages of big tournaments so everybody can see that.
Okay, thank you. We're going to pick your brains on a little bit more. But let's head to Cave because before we head to the break, we want to finish with a word on the next Brazilian wonderkid. Tell us about Endrick.
Yeah, look, this is a 15-year-old player who has been described to me as the future of Brazilian football. People are saying he could be the next Romario, he could be the next Ronaldo. He scored some incredible goals. He plays for Palmeiras at the moment. And Barcelona scouts were watching him on Wednesday night. He scored an incredible overhead goal that you can see there. Look, this kid is 15 years old and he's playing against players who are at least 5 years older than him. He did that in front of Barcelona scouts. Now, my understanding is that Barcelona are very, very interested in signing him, but it's going to be difficult for them to get him because 3 clubs are really after him: Real Madrid, Manchester United and Chelsea. And he's only 15 at the moment, so he can't sign for anyone. I think he turns 16 in the summer, I think in July, which is when he can sign a contract. But he's definitely a player to look out for in the future. Endrick, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Manchester United.
Rob, just very quickly, you saying talking about the next Neymar. When you were coming through the ranks, what were they saying about Rob Earnshaw? You're the next.
Well, the only thing I always wanted them to say is, okay, he's a talent by himself. Listen, you talk about Romario, one of my favorite players, and I used to study him day in, day out. Ronaldo, the Ronaldo, not this Ronaldo, the Ronaldo. This one's a top one, but the Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, is an alien playing amongst men. But I looked at those guys and wanted to emulate something, but they did compare me with Romario and all of this, but it was always somebody else. It was like every week it was somebody else they were comparing me to, but I guess I had a different style, and sometimes it's the poacher, sometimes it's the electricity, when I was playing with and the excitement, but I just always wanted them to let's see him for who he is. That was more important for me.
Could you score goals like that when you were 15?
So, not 15. I was in the park, yeah, but not against top players. I mean, that's an unbelievable goal. But my first ever goal was almost exactly the same. I remember Hartlepool away for Cardiff. I'm 17 years old, my first league start, and I scored a overhead kick. So It's funny that you showed that. Just reminded me of my debut. But I mean, that was when you come through.
He said next, Rob Earnshaw.
There's bigger players than me, and to compare to. But what an amazing goal, though. But it just really reminded me of my own debuts.
Let's see if we can dig out your goal.
I found it right here. I'll show you in the break, and we'll figure out whether we've got the rights to show it for you.
That's sharp,
if not, we've got plenty more to discuss and see in just a moment. We're going to have news from all 20 clubs in our Premier League wrap, and in the wake of Pep Guardiola's comments at James Ward-Prowse, is Europe's best free kick taker. We'll discuss the other contenders, past and present. Welcome back. And just a reminder, you can see our Premier League wrap on the Sky Sports app and website. Before we go, how about this for high praise? Pep Guardiola says James Ward-Prowse is the best free kick taker in the whole entire world.
He's the best taker I ever seen, or is right now in the worldwide. There's no player better taker than Ward-Prowse. Like, he's so good. Maybe you missed a little bit the quality as a football player, and the football player is exceptional as well. So he's a guy who adapts in different positions. He's a team player, having great quality without the ball and with the ball, understanding the game. But like as a taker in set pieces and corners and free kicks is exceptional. The people pay more attention on that.
Yeah, how about that, Robert? High praise from him, considering he's worked with Lionel Messi, Kevin De Bruyne and others as well. Do you agree with him? And who was the best free kick taker you ever played with?
Ooh, wow. Played with. I tell you, Gareth Bale is right up there. Probably the best one I played with, Gareth Bale, because he could do the knuckle one where it bends all over the place. He could do the one over the wall where he curls it over the wall, whether left, right. So accurate with it. So I'd probably say Gareth Bale. I played with some really good ones, though, as well.
What did you think about Ward-Prowse, though?
I think he's unbelievable.
Okay.
I wouldn't say he's the best. I would say him and Lionel Messi, because I've been blessed enough to study Lionel Messi over the last 15 years or so. And at some point when you're so good that you just say, oh, I'm going to master set pieces now. So if you look at him over the last 7-8 years, he's done that. He continues to. When I watch the French football now these days, he's hitting the bar almost, every other one.
Yeah.
So he's just got that talent. Listen, Ward-Prowse, he's been so special over the last year or so with his free kicks. He's up there, but listen, Messi's. Let's not disregard him.
Who's yours, would you say?
Best free kick taker of all time. I'm showing my age, but I'd go for Johnny Metcod at Nottingham Forest.
Right.
Check it.
I've heard of it.
Check him out. He used to score the most incredible free kicks with really long run-ups. And he was so tired after the run-up, and when he scored, that he could hardly move in his celebration.
Go off.
Fantastic free kick.
Beckham's up there,
yes,
obviously.
Of course he is.
Leon's, Juninho.
That's what I was going to say.
He was very good. Something about
All
James
time.
Ward-Prowse, though. You're talking about the one that goes that way as well. He can do all of them.
Right, Roberto Carlos.
Roberto Carlos is up there, yeah. Juninho is I think even his stats say it, but Juninho at Lyon and Brazil was incredible because almost every angle he could score at. So we talk about ever, okay, he's got to be up in that discussion.
Oh, we could be here all night, couldn't we, really? But thankfully it's all over. Thank you for rounding everything up. Coming up next, Robert Earnshaw will be providing updates on Watford, Norwich, and we'll round up the rest of the day's news.